Hey, great to be here, everybody. I'm happy to be doing stand-up. My dad's not, but I am for sure. Yeah, I was born and raised in Taiwan. I didn't grow up with stand-up comedy. I came here in 8th grade. First time I ever saw stand-up comedy was in 10th grade on YouTube, and I loved it. I went to my dad and I was like, Dad, let's go watch stand-up comedy live. He's like, Jason, why do you want to laugh? Why don't you want to be working? He's still trying to convince me not to do this. He's like, Jason, you know you could do anything else. You don't have to tell jokes to random people. But I was like, I really love making people laugh and happy. I said that to him. He was like, you could work at a bank and tell jokes to the customer. Yeah, Jason, the customer come inside the bank. You're like, hello, you don't have money in the bank today. That was his example. My mom's more supportive, she's really nice, but every time she's nice, she would like roast you after. Like to show that she's tough. Like she was at the store, I was like, Mom, can you give me 2 Hawaiian papayas? Because they're really sweet, but they're expensive. She comes back with a case of 6. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. How much is it? And she's like, Jason, don't worry about it. I was like, oh man, she loves me, but I don't want her to pay for it. I was like, no, but how much is it? She's like, Jason, don't worry about it. Your whole life. You owe me so much already. This is nothing. My grandma's the best. I love my grandma. But one thing I hate about her is when I was a kid, we never had leftover food. She freezed everything. Everything is in a freezer and in a bag, no expiration dates. Because I had bad experiences. So I'm always smelling for rock. I'm like, Grandma, this one is expired. She's like, Jason, are you okay? That's how she checks. I'm like, yeah. So she's like, okay, then it's okay. I'm like, that's not how freezers work. It's not a freaking time machine. You freeze it rotten, it comes out rotten. So I was eating, this one time I was eating noodles. This is how 30s are. I found a cockroach on it. This is another thing. She never admits there's roaches at her house because she's prideful, but she's got a full cabinet of bug spray. And she sprays it all the time like it's Febreze. It's okay now, Jason. No, it's not, Grandma. Everybody's gonna die in the house now. Except the roaches. So I was eating it, and I was like, I caught it. I'm gonna show her that there's right on my noodles. I was a kid. She was in the kitchen. I was like, I don't want it. There's a roach. She walked over, looked at the bowl with the roaches on it. This is what she did. Where? Where's the cockroach, Jason? Are you lying to me? I was like, no, it's on Grandpa's face now, right there. You're gonna move. I love my family. I have a wife, she's real, and yeah, we were arguing recently, and I feel like everything comes down to perspective, though. Everything comes down to perspective. She's like, babe, we're having sex twice a week. Is that a lot? I was like, well, it's perspective. Like, if we were hookers, that's terrible. We would be homeless tomorrow. We gotta get those numbers up immediately. But that's why it's perspective, because we've been together for 11 years. I feel like for 11 years, 2 times a week is amazing. I feel like if anything is a little bit too much. I feel like we're coming down a little bit. Maybe once every 2 weeks. Because we're missing out on all this stuff, like chores. That's 3 loads of laundry right there. So jokingly, I was like, hey babe, once every 2 weeks, that's great, right? She was like, well, it's all perspective. Like, if you were Zach, that's terrible. I was like, who's Zach? She's like, we'll both find out if you don't get those numbers up immediately.